So I recently put together what is probably the last computer that I'm ever going to build, just due to these insane hardware prices. Now, all of these components, believe it or not, I either had, like the graphics card, for example, or I purchased used for some of the more expensive components, or brand new. The Meshroom, for example, it was brand new. This is a case that I spent a lot of time selecting. I wanted something about the size of a console, and the motherboard, all of these parts, I got them at MSRP, below or close to it. Now, I think the art of PC building is going to be going away in the near future, so I wanted to do something where I took my time, really filmed it well, and put all of the parts together, and that's what I was trying to go for here. I'd also been watching a lot of hardware videos about doing custom builds and everything, so I wanted to put together a video just sort of going over the experience and showing people how to build a computer. If you've watched the channel for a long time, you'll remember when Starfield was coming out, I was really excited. I actually built a PC live on stream. This build went much better. I was actually able to get it boot on the first try. And just real quick about this build, obviously take off your paste, but the little cable there on the end of where your drive slot is, it kind of goes over the CPU fan, and I try and show that a little bit later in the video. It will block it on this particular board. So just remember that if you are following this for some reason later. Anyway, going forward, the Kraken, I got this one on eBay. I paid below MSRP on it, and it's, as you can see, it's basically in mint condition. I don't even know that it was used. I put the fans on so that the fans pull air in through the cooler, and that seemed to work really well, because the way this is designed is it will bring the air into the case, and then it will blow the air out from the fans. And when you're building in this case, you need to take off the front bracket right away. And this is all this is like 3 hours of footage, by the way, slowed down or edited in a way that you can just watch me do this whole build. So you have to take off the whole front piece, which includes removing the button there. As you can see, I keep it wired to the base. I also moved the cable for the motherboard a little bit and put the hard drive into place and sort of lock it there. However, you're going to discover that I missed a step, and I have to redo all of this later. I forgot to do the spacer. So through the magic of editing, you're going to see me realize the mistake that I've made and go back and fix that right here in just a little bit. But anyway, you can see the GPU does not have a lot of space between where the motherboard is going to land, and it's not necessary. So, you know, you put the GPU in place, and that is a 4090, by the way. The reason I show the 5090 in the beginning is because a 5090 can actually fit in this case, but with the cost of components, I just used a GPU that I had already to show off the build. So as you can see, I put in the motherboard, and then we are going to put in the power supply, and that's when I realize I have way too much overhead on the motherboard, and I am squishing the graphics card. So for future proofing, I actually wanted to move the graphics card. When you're mounting this onto the panel, you should actually just take off the inner brackets, put that onto the cooler, and then put the cooler onto the outer bracket. That was one small mistake that I made for this build. So just take off the 3 screws, take off the inner bracket, put that on the cooler, then put the cooler on the outer bracket, and then mount the outer bracket to the actual case itself. So here we are. I've never used one of these mini power supplies before, and I was surprised just how tiny this thing is. You gotta take the sticker off there. Yeah, it's very small. And I just made sure to really map this out in my mind, like what am I actually going to need? And then I mount it. By the way, I only had 2 screws on this thing. And then here's where I have to tear the whole thing apart, like all the parts that I needed to move. I basically had to go back, remove every single little part, and then get this chunk out and take out the spacer and then put it back in. So I wanted the smaller spacer, and you have to move the rear bracket. So you just kind of move the panel cover to the other side. So you're giving, what you're doing here really is you're giving your GPU a little bit more space. So I hook everything back up and get back to square one. And here with this one, you can see already the idea of where I'm going to route the wires. And mainly what you do is you route your wires and you make them bundled on that center bracket as close as you can to the wall so that you're not pushing the wires into the fan there on the front. Don't forget, by the way, you have to do USB and the other cable on your cooler. So actually, I'm editing this right a little bit different. So I had to actually take this part out and put on those additional wires, and they do kind of press against the RAM, which is not ideal. That is the only thing that I wasn't sure how to fix. But that's it. So anyway, run your fan cables through, connect them together, and then that is how I connect them back into. Now I'm putting the fan up there, but I believe it actually needed to go down here in this collection of component connections. So that was one mistake that I had made. So you can see I'm putting this over here, but actually this cable that I'm putting in right now, it actually goes by that M2 drive that we installed before. I'm putting it in the wrong fan slot. So just make sure you move it over there. And then, yeah, so this is my first time. It's obviously not cable managed or anything, but very happy I got it to boot. And then I did some cable management. Like I said, running it through to the edge of the case on the outer side, and on the back side there where I ran the cable. It has a ton of space for the GPU. Maybe not lengthwise, but I could probably get a bigger one in there. Like, I know these fit a 5090. The cable is like an L cable, and the only thing I don't like is that it kind of just dangles there, but you can actually get a bracket for that you 3D print. And that's the final build. That's it running, and I have since installed Bazite, and I have installed Windows, a dual boot on this thing, just to see how Bazite works, and it works great. So anyway, that is my last PC build. You can also see that it is very similar in size to a regular Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. It's somewhere in between the two. So this is an incredibly powerful machine that basically it destroys both of these consoles. It will probably be better than whatever the next gen ends up throwing out. And it's very, very subtle. That's exactly what I was going for. So anyway, let me know what you think about my build, and I will see you for the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much to the members, Chris, Freddy, Cheruby, Jason, Marcus, Hargeet, Emma, and Shane Carroll. You can support me at patreon.com/SafeStatePlus or become a YouTube member. I'm going to get out of here, but I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.